Welcome to another episode of Rivals, and in today's episode, once again back at Gran Turismo 4, we're going to be driving on a wet Tsukuba circuit. Yes, we're actually going to be driving on a bit of a slipperier, whatever, a more hard to control terrain, because now we got rain to play with. And the cars that we're going to be using, as requested for this particular episode by ThatHappyGamer, which I like that name. I like that name, ThatHappyGamer. We've got two Nissan Silvias on hand, particularly where we have this. It's not the right one. We've got the 240SX S14 96. I'm gonna take because he didn't exactly specify which one. I could use this one too, but there's not really much of a difference, and I much prefer the way this one looks, so we're gonna go with this one. And in terms of the its competitor, the S15, which I'm guessing he means the Spec R Aero, which kind of gives a bit of a concern because the torque's about the same, but the S14 is about 30 horsepower down than the S15. I really think the S15 is going to be quicker, honestly, but we'll see. I could be entirely wrong, so let's go with I like that deep marine blue for the S14, so let's go with that. Okay, now this is the wet. Now, I'm surprised it's not actually providing like a. Surprised it's actually not providing like some sort of tires more suited for wet terrain. So we're just gonna have to go with these sports mediums. Now, I've already tested this out in the emulator. This has no problem running This emulator has no problem me trying to run a wet surface track on Gran Turismo 4. I tried doing the same thing in GT3 on the wet Route 5, and my frame rate dips. I don't know, it might just be older settings I had, but on wet Tsukuba here in Gran Turismo 4, no problem, everything's perfectly fine, so, you know, that's good. That's good to know, at least. Now, the one thing, too, you got to keep in mind about it being a wet surface is you got to brake earlier, because otherwise the car is going to have too much momentum and it'll start sliding off. You'll also notice the one weird issue that this game, Gran Turismo 3, has the same problem. When you run it on like an interlaced thing, as in the case of this game, more specifically, the issue is that you see the like a little effect, like the rain particles and smoke, dust. They go through the car's body, which it doesn't do that on the console. Now, if you do play this game, if you go in the 480p option in the options menu, you can combat the problem. The reason I don't use it though is because, for whatever reason, Jesus, all that tire spinning there. The reason I don't use it is because in the particular case of this game, for whatever reason, Gran Turismo 4 on PCSX2 has an issue in 480p where everything suddenly gets darker as soon as you enter a race. See, if this is just leaving it in 480i, and you wouldn't be able to tell the difference because, you know, emulators makes it look like that it doesn't. You can have this setting that I have on it right now, Bob TFF or whatever it's called, and it basically makes it look. It basically makes it look like, you know, 480p. Or, well, technically better than 480p because of reasons, but you know, the big issue is that when it becomes so much darker, I mean, all the menus, they look perfectly fine, but then you go into the race and suddenly it looks like it's really goddamn dark. I don't really understand the reason for it. It's just how it is, I guess. So, you know, there's not much I can do about that. It sucks because I really wish it wasn't that case, but, you know, what can you do, right? So yeah, I kind of have to not give it full throttle, or just kind of give it a bit, so because I can see in that second gear, it really just wants to spin, but I have to prevent it from doing so. Get around here. Yeah, there we go. That was good. That felt pretty nice. And there, yeah, there we go. Sub 120 now. It's 119.6. Gonna give it a bit of throttle, but not all, because then it might spin the wheels. Yeah, you can see there, I can do about 68 miles an hour before I gotta shift up, so. So yeah, even with the little issue I tend to have had here with this game on emulator, because of the very short area I have to move the joystick around to give it full throttle, the right analog stick. Here it doesn't matter. It's not as much of an issue because this car kind of benefits from not having full throttle put on it. I didn't even mean to go down the first there. That was an accident. Yeah, you can just see it. Look at it spinning its wheels. And up to third. Yeah, honestly, apart from that, this car does drive generally pretty well around this track. It's quite nice actually. Kind of like it. I'm not a huge S14 guy. I've never been particularly been a huge S14 guy. I've always been more partial to the S13 and even more so the S15. But you know, a 119,490 is not a bad time for this for a car with this sort of power. And yep, you can kind of see it there again. But of course, when we stop, you don't see the effect at all, and it looks generally pretty well. It's just when you start moving, you notice it again. Hopefully, in a future PCSX2 update, they at least fix the 480p option for this game, so it doesn't look so dark, or they at least fix it so that you don't have this effect anymore, because that would help with Gran Turismo 3's sake, since there's no 480p option for that game. But yeah, a 119,490 is a good time. But can the S15 beat it? I suspect it will still, because again, it has the same amount of torque as the S14 does, but it's got about 30 more horsepower. I mean, I don't know if it's any heavier, because it doesn't tell you in this menu here. So I don't know off the top of my head, but we'll see. Anyways, so since we went with blue with the S14, let's kind of keep it going and just use blue with the S15. You get it's a much more brighter blue with the Spec R Aero here, but that's perfectly fine. Again, we're going to go into this view just because gives me the best view, and it's kind of easier to see what's going on. Now, so yeah, the 119.4 is the time that the S15 is going to have to beat. Do I think it's going to do it? Absolutely. I really do suspect that the S15 will be probably might even be a considerably quicker car. I wouldn't be surprised. Oh, we got some wheel spin again. It's no matter the Silvia, it seems to do the same thing. That's what happens when you take a rear-wheel drive car out into the wet. You get things like that. Gonna try to find that little apex there. Oh, we're going a bit wide. It's touching a little bit of grass. And yeah, you can kind of see there was a bit of tail slide there. The Silvia's specialty, because there's like a million drift cars that are Silvias, because very popular car for such things because it's so good at doing it. But yeah, when I get to like this straightaway here, I can just feel how much quicker it tends to be. Like, it feels an awful lot faster. But will it be faster? I think it will. I mean, I'm looking at the time right now. This hasn't even been a perfect lap, and yeah, look at that. That's already a 1:16.4. That's about 3 whole seconds faster than the S14, and that wasn't even a perfect lap. That had quite a few hiccups there. But yeah, again, there's just no. It was just, I really expected that the extra power in the S15 here would make it a faster car, and I was correct. It really is a faster car. So yeah, ThatHappyGamer, there should be your answer as to which of the two is faster. I mean, I get the feeling you probably knew that the S15 was going to be quicker personally, but I guess you probably wanted to know just how much. So now you know by how much. And like I said, this lap hasn't even been perfect. Well, that lap hasn't even been perfect. This hasn't either. I just want, as you just noticed me going off course a little bit. But yeah, it's just the fact that this car just has more power. I mean, the torque's about the same, but that 30 extra horsepower really can make a difference with the car, and I do think this car handles a little sharper too. It's a little more responsive. Oh, it's actually a little worse. But yeah, you get the idea. But yeah, I'm going to stop there because you get the idea. The Silvia S15 is definitely the faster of the two cars, as well everyone expected it probably would have been. And in fact, let's get it on the ranking. Yep, 116.487 versus 119.490. So yep, just over 3 seconds faster. Like literally just. But yeah, there you go. The S15 is the winner today. And it's also personally the one I would rather pick because I just prefer the S15 over the S14 in general, and it does feel a little bit nicer to drive. And of course, it being quicker also gives it a bonus to me for that. So yeah, that's gonna do it for today's episode, guys. Stay tuned for the next one. More Gran Turismo 4 coming because really popular game. But in the meantime, guys, if you want to check out in the description, you can find the list for the future episodes coming up, as well as the likes of, if you want to follow me on Twitter, follow me on Twitch, donate to my Patreon, join my forum boards, or submitting a clip to the highlight reel. Episode 2 is definitely in the works. It's I just need a few more to get to that area of time that I'd be pretty happy to make a video length out of. So if any clips helps. But anyways, regardless of all that, if you don't if that doesn't matter to any of you, then as always, regardless, thank you so much for watching and take care.